Blopper Cryptocurrency coming at you with another video. Market cap is at $253 billion. So looks like it is up slightly since my last video. And Bitcoin is trading at 67.28, Ethereum 375, and Litecoin at 116. Okay, so let's get into today's topic. Crypto exchanges charge millions to list tokens. So I think this is important for us to know. I think this is actually probably self-evident and not surprising, but we also need to talk about how we can use this information to our advantage in order to make those quick flips, especially in 2018. Okay, crypto exchanges charge millions to list tokens, report says. Entrepreneurs are finding that their dreams... Oh, this is a terrible typo. Come on, Blueberry. You can do better than that. Okay, so entrepreneurs are finding that their dreams of easy crypto financing come at a high price. I think that's what it's supposed to say. Digital token sales are letting young startups raise funds fast, but avoiding the world of venture capital and Wall Street's other established channels isn't free. Cryptocurrency trading platforms may be charging 10 times more to list tokens than what traditional exchanges demand for securities, according to a report on Tuesday by Autonomous Research. Costs for crypto listings range from $1 million for a reasonably regarded token to $3 million for an opportunity to get quick liquidity. We're going to hone in on that and discuss that. Autonomous Research wrote, cautioning that the figures are based on conversations among market participants and aren't exact. That compares with the roughly 125,000 to 300,000 plus 100,000 to 500,000 of annual fees that exchanges charge to list fully registered equities, the report said. A digital token sale offers a known pathway to liquidity, yet it is in many ways expensive and benefits the wild west of crypto capital markets infrastructure providers, the report said. Startups are covering the fees by overfunding their projects when conducting what's known as initial coin offerings. Some companies have used ICOs to amass 5 to 10 times more than what fintech companies typically gather using other channels, according to the report. Blockchain startups have raised more than $3 billion in ICOs this year, compared with $270 million in venture capital rounds, according to data compiled by CoinDesk. Tokens are more attractive if buyers know they can trade them easily, and that's why an exchange listing often becomes crucial for the success of the ICO. Sales teams go to great lengths to convince potential buyers and wary regulators that their tokens aren't securities. And I'll stop right there. It just goes into, what the advisors do and how some cryptocurrencies or some groups that are well known can raise funds outside of these traditional models like Telegram. Okay, so let's talk about, the implications of this and what we can do about it and how to benefit from it, importantly. So I want to walk you guys through a trade that I made a couple months ago, and that is IOST token. It is not well known within the United States, but it is very popular amongst the Eastern market. And how I discovered it, I did what I always do. I go to the recently added section of CoinMarketCap, and what I am doing, I am looking for cryptocurrencies that have a very high volume, are new, and thus have a high degree of liquidity. So looking through these, as you will notice, most of these have volumes in the 6 figures, which is pretty low. Some in the 4 figures, which is essentially, DOA. But there are the few that have trading volumes that are in the 8 figures, and there are even some occasionally that trade 9 figures, so $100 million plus. And that was the case with IOST token when I found it. So when it caught my radar, I think it had been out for a couple of days, and it had a trading volume of, I think it was about 90-ish or so, up to $100 million in trading volume, which was exceptional for a new cryptocurrency. And this is the web page for it. When I first checked it out, I'm pretty sure this was in Chinese, and I had to really dig through the page to get it to switch over into English. But it was, like I said, targeted towards the Asian market. And it was around 2 cents or so, almost 3, so 2.5 cents. And, think to myself that, okay, this volume is huge. Where is it at? And find out that at the time, it was only on Huobi, which, in my opinion, is a really high quality exchange. I've had no issues with it in terms of withdrawals or deposits. It's high quality, but it's still not on the level of Binance. With that being said, it was trading at $100 million, which told me that eventually it would end up on Binance. And so I took a position out, and sure enough, soon after, it did end up on Binance, and this was the result. It went from 2 cents to approximately 13 cents. Now, I will admit, I only rode the wave up to, I think, about 8 cents or so. So I didn't get that full, a huge return. I mean, I got a pretty decent return, but you have to know when to hold them, know when to fold them. You got to know when to take your winnings. And if I learned anything from that next Ignis debacle, was that you got to know when to step out and take your profits. So I did take my profits. At that time, I had 4x and I was happy. So I stepped out of that position after it was listed on Binance. And that's kind of the name of the game. It's finding coins and tokens that are likely to end up on a big exchange. Now, at the time, it was on a relatively large exchange, Huobi, which is typically number 2 behind Binance. And I think at the time when I was trading on it, it was maybe just in the top 10, not the top 5. But imagine if you find a cryptocurrency that is, on a top 30 exchange and it ends up on the number 1 exchange. The potential for gains is much larger, exponentially so. However, there's an important second component to this. So it's not just about finding high quality projects and volume, with the cryptocurrency. It's also about finding a cryptocurrency that is well capitalized. So let's look at an example of a cryptocurrency that I've been holding for a while. I'm not saying this is a high quality project, guys. It just has what I would call an ultra low market cap. So it's just a complete gamble. This is something that you just throw. If you have an extra $100 lying around, you just throw $100 at it, and it'll, who knows, it could end up easily 100xing if it just goes into the 8 figures. So it's I'm sorry, the 9 figures, I believe. So something like this is a complete gamble. I'm not saying that this is a shitcoin, but it probably is, whatever. But the team seems pretty legit. They post frequently on Twitter. They've been doing a lot of airdrops, but they had a pretty solid roadmap. And let's just take a brief look at it. Again, this is not a quick, dirty deal. This is not an endorsement. I do hold this. Who knows? This could end up actually being something. But their roadmap goes well into 2018 and beyond. So who knows? Maybe it's worth checking out. So anyways, tried it. It only has a market cap of $87,000, and each token is worth 9 cents. So you need to ask yourself, well, what does that mean for the development team? So if you go to Etherscan, you can get a list of the top token holders, and this top wallet holds 35%. And this top wallet right here is more than likely the development team that holds this amount, and they hold approximately a little over $1 million of Trident token. Now, so let's say that, one day this were to pump, and it did pump, actually. I think it's been as high as, $2 during the January run up. So let's say this were to pump up to, over $2 per token. And let's say it stayed there, like it didn't just pump and dump, but it stayed at $2. Okay, for you, that's an epic return. So you went from, 10 cents to $2 per coin. Maybe that's probably a good time to step out. But for those of you who still want to keep holding, thinking that maybe it'll go from being on a small exchange like Coin Exchange and Stocks Exchange to a bigger exchange like Binance, you have to ask yourself, thinking about this wallet and this development team having 1 million tokens, both of these could actually be development teams. So let's say they have 2 million tokens, 35 and 33% of the circulating supply. So let's say these two wallets are owned by the development team. That gives them 2 million tokens approximately. And if this goes up to $2 per token, that gives them approximately a little over $4 million. So, but what does that mean in terms of getting onto the likes of Binance? Well, as we read, Binance charges 1 million for a reasonably regarded token to 3 million for an opportunity to get quick liquidity. So to get investors into Binance and to be able to liquidate that asset, for the likes of Trident, which has no hype, is quite unknown, would more than likely be $3 million. So that would cost 75% of the development team's purse to simply fund a listing on Binance. How likely is that to happen? Probably not very likely. On the other hand, if this were to go up to $25 per token, which considering its super low circulating supply, is not unreasonable. And if it went up to $25, well, then it's a completely different ball game, because then they can probably afford to pay for that listing. So those are some strategies I want you to think about when you are looking for coins and tokens. One, look for, well, firstly, I think most importantly, FA, fundamental analysis. Do a fundamental analysis on that cryptocurrency and look at the quality of that project. Secondly, look at its volume. Exchanges like Binance, Bittrex, they want high volume cryptocurrencies to propel their markets. That's what keeps them in that number one position. So fundamentals, volume, and importantly, look at the total market cap and ask yourself, can that development team afford to pay that $3 million listing for the likes of Binance? And if not, it may be something you want to, not hold off on, but don't get your hopes up for the immediate future. But just keep an eye on that, and I think that should actually treat you well. It's been good for me, and I think it's a good strategy to follow. So, yeah, that's about all, guys. If you like this information, don't forget to like the videos and subscribe. Channel is growing steadily, and I appreciate those of you who are commenting and leaving messages. I've really been appreciating the conversations we've been having, but let's keep this discussion going. And in the meantime, I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.